Hello there hoppers and welcome. Now, a few days ago, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow released a 6-second clip apparently teasing footage of the new film. So naturally, being a big fat Jurassic Park fan, I thought it would be cool to discuss the footage that we were shown. So, let's get straight into it. Here's the footage. Now, as you can see, we are shown what looks to be a juvenile raptor, seeming to be taking a liking to our protagonist, Owen Grady. Now, the first thing that comes to a lot of people's minds is that it's a flashback, and that the raptor we are seeing on the screen is Blue, the lead raptor from the last film, for those of you, who didn't know, for whatever reasons. But anyway, as you can see, the resemblance is uncanny. The blue pattern on her face is perfect, even sporting the little bumps near her eye. And also, both the look of infatuation on Owen's face and the fact that he is wearing what looks to be a scratch guard on his arm, which is typical of many bird handlers, these things do indicate to us that this is his first rodeo. So people have been theorising that this may well be the day the pair first started to train together, their first real contact since birth. Because obviously, as Owen stated in Jurassic World, he would have had to have been there for the birth to imprint on them, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's been able to interact properly with them. So maybe this is one of the first times. Maybe he's had to watch the development from a distance. This may be indeed the first real contact that they've had since birth. And sure, taken at face value, it's easy to come to that assumption. And being a touching moment, no pun intended, people like to believe it because it's a pretty nice theory. However, upon further inspection, I have decided not to endorse this theory, as there are many problems with this assumption. For starters, the new costume. Owen is wearing a costume that matches the ones leaked in set photos of him on the beach with Claire, and from what we can gather, that is most likely to take place straight after the rumoured aquatic attack scene. So we can pretty much guarantee already that the scene with him and the raptor we've been shown is clearly not a flashback just because Owen is wearing his new uniform. And for those of you who may be doubting that the beach scene isn't a flashback, we pretty much can guarantee it's not a flashback because of what Claire is wearing. She's wearing very tactical clothing compared to her previous wardrobe from the last film. And the filmmakers have already expressed that this is a changed Claire. She is different. She has been moulded by the events of the last film, and now her character is on a completely different mission in this one. So I think it's safe to assume that this is definitely the present and not the past. Moving on now to our second piece of evidence. The Juvenile Raptor. Yes, more evidence comes in the form of the raptor itself, as it could easily be the offspring of Blue, rather than the past younger version of Blue. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's all a bit convenient, isn't it? To have exactly the same look, identical, even, to its mother. And I understand. Even I previously just stated that the blue pattern on the new raptor seems to perfectly resemble that of Blue's. But is it really that convenient, or is it just simply inevitability? Let me explain. When the 4 raptors were created by InGen for the Integrated Behavioural Raptor Intelligence Study, or the IBRIS for short, the raptors no longer became assets to the company. They became subjects. Test subjects. And so from what I can theorise, the first thing InGen would have done is alter their gene makeup in order to create 4 distinguishable features, making it easier to track and study each individual raptor. Consider it a safe alternative to approaching the animals from behind and trying to look for a number you burnt into their arses. It just makes them easier to single out from a distance if they're a different colour or at least have a different texture. And the 4 raptors in Jurassic World do. Although some are, more distinguishable than others, they all have a unique design. But that's just a theory of mine. If it's correct, it does explain the colour and the pattern alternatives of the 4 raptors. And with all that in mind, we now come back to Blue. She has a blue stripe pattern that trails from her eye to the tip of her tail. Hence her name. Now, if I'm correct in my theory, then this is a deliberate pigmentation created in the lab before birth by tampering with the genes. So in other words, it is now part of her gene build-up. So, although when compared to, let's say, the raptors from the first film, shall we say, she is unique and completely different in terms of both colour schemes and patterns. However, as far as her gene build-up is concerned, there is no defect. She isn't unique, she's nothing special. She is just what a raptor should be. And that is because she was created to look this way. So it's not like she has to pass down a disease, anything she would pass down is just natural biomechanics. It's like our parents passing down to us 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs, for example. If you get someone with a 3rd leg, then, well, that's something completely different. But anyway, yes, so back to the point, she was created to look this way, so therefore if she was to conceive a child, the chances are extremely likely that the offspring would inherit its mother's features, because like I said before, they are no longer exceptional features. In fact, because of the gene alterations, they are now the norm. So, therefore, the possibility of the raptor in the new footage being Blue's offspring is not just possible, but it's actually highly likely, and not for the reasons people were probably thinking. But there we are, that's what I'm here for. Anyway, moving on now to our last piece of evidence. The location. Now granted, again, this is only speculation, as there is not an awful lot to go on, but if you look closely at the background setting, you can see it clearly shares a resemblance to that of the dining hall from the original Jurassic Park film. And that's not the only evidence suggesting this location, as if you look behind Owen, both at the top and the bottom of the screen, there is what looks to be the entrance to a room, maybe even a corridor of some kinds. And, in both style and colour, the walls seem to match perfectly with the tone of the dining room in the original film. You can actually make out what seem to be orb-looking things on the ceiling, possibly the spotlights that inhabit the dining area. But it's not just the dining room that shares these architectural designs and aesthetics, as the whole visitor centre follows in this theme, even the entrance. So with that in mind, the footage could be set anywhere within the building, so therefore it is difficult to pinpoint an exact location. However, the evidence at least points to this being the old visitor centre and not a new location. So why is this a problem, you ask? What makes this setting the now and not the past? Well, let me explain. As we can gather from Jurassic World, the old park has been abandoned and left to rot ever since '93, following the events of the original film. Now, from what we are shown, it seems that no one has actually been there until Gray and Zach stumble across the place 22 years later. Now, the reason this is important is because in order for this 6-second footage to be a flashback, it means that Owen at some point in the last 22 years was in the old visitor centre with these new raptors. And remember, the building is old and decaying long before Owen sets foot there. Plus, it's still damaged from the previous dinosaur inhabitants. Remember the climactic Jurassic Park scene? It's not a safe place, okay? It's fallen apart, as we see in Jurassic World. So there's just no plausible explanation to why he would be there. He can't be there training. I mean, there's just too many problems. I mean, how do you keep animals contained in that room? There was too many doors. I mean, the raptors in the first film got in for a start, didn't they? Hell, even a massive frickin' T-Rex managed to somehow get in the building. So, yeah, there were just too many problems with it. And you can't even turn around and say, oh, maybe it's early days, you know, before they built the enclosure to house all the raptors. Because you just wouldn't build the animal before you built its pen, its enclosure. And if at this point they've got the means to harvest these new dinosaurs, then they've definitely got the means to contain them. So I'm sorry, but I don't buy it. I don't think for 1 second Owen would choose to train here, and I don't think he'd be made to train there either. Not even InGen would make such a mistake as this. That is another reason why I believe that this is more likely Blue's offspring, because there's a high chance that she chose to lay her eggs or make that her sanctuary inside that building, you know, a shelter from the storm, if you will. That would be fine then. Absolutely no problems. I just don't buy into the fact that this is a flashback and they're kind of there for no reason. What are they doing? Exploring? You know, what the hell? But, of course, it's all just speculation after all, you know, based on the evidence that we can gather from the 6 seconds of footage that we've been shown. So, we might watch the film and it could be an entirely different location altogether. So, yes, this is just speculation. None of it can be distinguished as fact. Not yet, anyway. So, there we are, hoppers. That's my opinion of the footage that we have been shown, as well as the surrounding speculation. But just to confirm, just to clarify, I have come to the conclusion that this footage is the present and not the past. I believe that the dinosaur seen in the footage is most likely the offspring of Blue and not Blue herself. But, then again, for this to be true, who did she mate with when the other 3 raptors apparently died in the last film? So, yeah, what happened there? What dinosaurs did she find to, you know, get busy with? Well, that's a question, I'm afraid, for another video. And trust me, there are plenty more on the way, especially Jurassic Park and Jurassic World related content. So if you're a fan of the franchise and you like this video, then please, by all means, give me a like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're not just showing your support, but you're also keeping up to date with all my latest videos. And trust me, there's going to be plenty of content to dig your dino teeth into. Well, hoppers, I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I have. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Jesus H. Christ, just keep it a steady shot. Bloody hell.